Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight. We look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, today I want to talk about the turmoil in the EU and the problems for its leader Ursula von der Leyen that have just appeared. Now, it appears that the newly signed free trade agreement between the mercosur countries of South America and the EU, which took 25 years of negotiations, have already caused serious friction with certain members of the EU. For example, the events held in France to mark the end of the restoration of the Notre Dame Cathedral, which was attended by dozens of heads of state, was overshadowed by the lack of the representative of the European Union, the head, who would have been in a position to speak on behalf of the entire European Union. Yes, she was absent, very notably absent. That was Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission. So why did she cancel her trip to the celebrations? Well, I think she cancelled because of the deal that has been claimed by the French that is seriously disadvantageous to France and its farmers. But it does, however, promise to boost the profits of the Russian fertiliser sector. So what is the rationale behind this, and why are people saying that France has been thrown under the bus? Well, on Friday in the Uruguayan capital Montevideo, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen signed an agreement aimed at creating the world's largest free trade area, which unites 700 million consumers from the EU and some of them South American countries that are part of the so-called mercosur agreement, which is Argentina, Brazil, Venezuela, Paraguay and Uruguay. Now, the negotiations, I said on this, have been going on for some time, around 25 years. However, the signing was conducted in an accelerated manner, creating the impression of a sudden and unexpected development. Yeah, US sanctions, I suppose. Now, some countries have previously expressed strong opposition to the agreement, citing concerns about its political disadvantages. Now, France has been the most vocal in expressing its opposition to the agreement. In fact, almost all its local politicians have expressed their opposition to it, and they were being quite forthright in their public statements. The France's media has described the agreement as many things, including a major betrayal by the EU and a stab in the back. France is continuing to oppose the free trade agreement, which views it as a threat to its food and agricultural sector, according to a report in the French daily Le Figaro. The former French Trade Minister Sophie Pruna sought to reassure the public by stating that today's developments were not the final chapter in the story. She also noted that the agreement requires ratification by the EU members, and in order for the agreement to be blocked, at least 4 of the 27 members must vote against it, and they must represent at least 35% of the population. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website scobricsinsight.com and to further develop it. You can do this by making a small donation, which you can do by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all now. Now, of particular interest in regard, particularly on the agreement, apart from France, the positions of Italy and Poland are important. However, given that Italy and Poland are very dependent on EU subsidies, it would be unwise to expect their authorities to take any action beyond making bold statements. Therefore, the words "as much as it can" in the Figaro article are of particular significance. Now, while there's a clear desire to engage in a robust fight, the capabilities of the French are actually limited. Some French voices claim that the agreement is mostly beneficial to the Germans and that Ursula von der Leyen is acting in Germany's interest. Well, that would be a first, wouldn't it? Given that Germany will gain access to a significant Latin American market for its automobiles, its manufacturing, engineering exports, which is quite famous for, and could certainly flute down. He said, the German government is very pleased with von der Leyen's strategy. France has been left behind, wrote Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who's head of Unbowed France. He also noted that France has the ability to influence other parties involved in the negotiations, given its ability to withhold funds from the European budget. Now, the future of France now depends on its president, he said. Macron must demonstrate that France can be respected and that agriculture will be protected. Now, Ursula von der Leyen was scheduled to attend the opening of the Notre Dame Cathedral on Saturday, along with all the other high-ranking guests, including Putin, etc. And it's not like her to miss an opportunity for photographing of gripping and grinning with the global elite. However, due to the heightened tension, she wisely decided to decline the invitation. In light of the current political climate and the potential for a trade war with the EU and the US, it's becoming important that Europe explores new markets. Now, that's one of the reasons why the agreement, which has been in development, as I said, since 1999, was finally concluded successfully. That said, however, there are potential challenges, and it's unlikely that any party will relinquish its market access without gaining some form of compensation. In other words, the agreement is reciprocal. It allows for the free flow of goods between the EU and the Mercosur countries and vice versa. In the case of similar identical goods with a significantly lower cost price for one party, it's evident the party offering the cheaper goods will ultimately gain the advantages. Now, one of the few to express support for this was Jean-Luc Demarty, who until 2019 worked in developing the framework and regulations for the agreement, so he would say it was a good one, wouldn't it? Now, he stated that European companies will no longer have to spend around €4 billion on customs duty on exports to the Mercosur countries. He says the main challenge is to ensure the protection of the most sensitive agricultural products, including beef, poultry and sugar, of which significant safeguards have been built in. Now, in response to the attacks, Demarty highlighted that the French political grasp is unable to grasp the country's long-term interests. He believes that the underlying cause of the difficulties as being experienced by the French agricultural sector is the lack of competitiveness of the French products within the European market, which is a result of an unsatisfactory French agricultural policy based on subsidies. He said the political class has identified a Mercosur as a target to deflect attention from its own major shortcomings and avoid addressing the major core issues. Now, despite this, there are indications that some agricultural products from Latin America will be imported, albeit under certain quotas. Consequently, the proportion of beef will be no more than 1.6, with sugar accounting for an even smaller share. Europe is understandably concerned, given that the local market has been effectively divided up and there's no remaining unoccupied territories for them to export to. Now, in this scenario, it's unclear what will happen to these products, which are no longer needed. Now, what is the best course of action for those who will be left out? It's inevitable that such a turn of events will increase social tension. France is the leading sugar producer in Europe, but in the 2023-24 season, its exports fell by more than 3% due to competition with the Ukrainian sugar, which was allowed into the EU market without any duties. Indeed, during this period, French producers shifted their focus to deliveries to Belgium, which used to be as a transit point for shipments to third world countries. In particular, there's been a notable increase in deliveries to African countries such as Mauritania, Ghana and Guinea. And that's despite the fact that sugar is a specific product. The global market situation with it is no overproduction and prices remain high, in excess of €800 per tonne. Now, it's causing concern among French producers at the potential impact of Latin American sugar. They're concerned that they might be forced to relinquish their market positions in Spain, Italy and Portugal, where 1/3 of the sugar market is currently dominated by French producers. French producers are also concerned about the potential impact of corn production in Brazil on the European market. Their calculations indicate that if Brazil expands its cultivated area, there could be a 600,000 hectare reduction in corn production in Europe. France is the primary supplier of corn grain for export among EU countries, and it's not sufficient to simply enter a market. One must be able to gain a serious foothold and expand one's position within it. Now, there's no reason for Mercosur countries to consider their entry into the EU markets as unprofitable. Should they decide otherwise, they will use all means available to expand their production and attract investments and achieve an increase in their quotas. In terms of Russia, new opportunities are likely to gain there, mainly in the form of profitable investments in agricultural countries, because they will be buying much more fertilizer. I mean, in the first 10 months of this year, Russia sold 9.2 million tonnes of fertilizer just to Brazil, compared to 7.8 million tonnes in the same period last year. It should also be noted that these figures are based on a 10% export duty, and export quotas were introduced to protect the Brazilian domestic market. Even the French press is arguing that agriculture has become a key bargaining point in the transactions, where they're talking about 40 to 45 billion euros annually. And the forecast indicates that the export of cars and spare parts will increase by 100%, pharmaceuticals and chemicals by 50%, and clothing and textile products from Europe to the Mercosur up by 400%. Now, obviously, these figures are based on the most favourable scenario, but it would be prudent to consider the possible potential impact on local meat and sugar producers. Plus, it's evident that France is aware that the current structure of its agricultural sector within the EU makes it unprofitable and totally reliant on subsidies. So therefore, despite the objections of local producers regarding the quality of Brazilian meat and the use of herbicides in corn production, there's little support for concerns among the French public. I mean, some people, such as the commentator in Low Figures, even make jokes about it. In his article, he said the agreement will result in a shift from 100% Romanian horse meat to 3% Brazilian beef in the production of frozen lasagna in the supermarkets. So there you have it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you want to help me out, click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen and make a donation. See you all again soon. Thank you.